Good morning to our guests and everyone that is viewing this dialogue today. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be commemorating and taking a leap from the women of 1956. But before I get into it, allow me to welcome the CEO of NYDA, Mr. Wasim Karim, to do the official welcoming to today's dialogue. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Program Director, and let me extend greetings to the MMC as well, and all of our honored guests who are joining us here today, but also via the virtual platforms. As was said, my name is Wasim Karim. I was actually telling my wife over the weekend, I was like, I get so mad when people call me Kasim, you know. Sorry, well, it's just a joke here. And she's like, I don't know why you get mad for it, yeah. But yeah, I think really on behalf of the NYDA, it gives me great pleasure to welcome everyone to, I think, this very important dialogue between the NYDA and the Central Drug Authority for Women's Month 2021. I think if we reflect, we know that we still find ourselves in the middle of a pandemic, a global pandemic, which still continues to cause devastation on our economies, our health systems, but also our social structures. Yeah? I think, you know, when we reflect, we know how much has been lost over the last 18 months or so in terms of people's financial wellness, in terms of their health, but also just the trauma that so many families have had to go through, you know. I think maybe in the first wave or the second wave, COVID was away from many of us, but in this third wave, almost every single one of us knows a friend or neighbor or family member who's been affected. And it's really something that's devastating to go through. It's almost like we're dealing with this collective trauma as a society, you know. And we mask it in many ways, but there's major challenges going on at household level, at government level, but also at our country level. Yeah? I think we know that we must never, in crisis, there's always opportunities for hope, and there's always opportunities for us to find new ways to do things, yeah, and to think about how we build or rebuild a better society for South Africa and for the world as well. I think it's important to say that we know South Africa's society was not fair before, and that our struggle for social justice particularly must continue. If we reflect particularly on young people and young women at that, we know that in South Africa, unemployment of young people is high, and unemployment translates into negative effects for poverty and for inequality, right? And if we look at drug and substance abuse in South Africa, it can be viewed from multiple dimensions. But a major driver is the inequalities that we face in society. Yeah? And young people often have many challenges with mental health, which manifest themselves in drugs and substance abuse. I think we also know that we have widespread criminality in the country. Yeah? And organized crime in many ways contributes to the drug and substance abuse problem that we have. The alcohol bans in the COVID period have shown us that as much as alcohol is a massive contributor to our economy, we have such a problem with it. Yeah? And as much as it has positive dimensions, there's also so many negative dimensions. And it's important to have dialogues like these, because confronting the challenges we face and acknowledging them means we can map proper ways forward in order to be able to address them. I think the President and this administration has really made youth unemployment the centrality of the administration's priorities, right? And this is reflected in, for example, the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention, which has really taken major steps to be able to address youth unemployment. The National Pathway Management Network, sayouth.mobi, is now live for all young people, young people to be able to use. Just one example of what the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention is doing. Last year, 300,000 young people, 65% of them young women, were employed as teachers' assistants and general assistants in our public schools, right? Contributing to learner support programs. And we know drug and substance abuse is a massive issue even at public school level. So these are some of the interventions that are being put in place in order for us to address the challenges that we face as young people and as young women. And if we take just a minute to reflect on young women, right? Young women in South Africa face disproportionately more challenges than young men. Young women on average have 2 to 3 hours less per day to be able to search and look for work, right? Mainly because they're given caregiver responsibilities at home. So we must have a bias in terms of every program in which we set up towards young women. And as we celebrate or commemorate this Women's Month, as we honor 150 years since the birth of Charlotte Maxeke, it's important for us to put women and young women at the center of our agenda as this administration is and for future administrations. So thank you very much. I think we're very happy to host you as the NYDA. I think we're glad that we can have at least part of this program in person. We wish you all the best in your dialogue and your deliberations this morning. And we hope we'll find time to network and engage and come up with proactive solutions and ones that can be implemented for young people of this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much once again to the CEO of NYDA, Mr. Karim. Thank you so much for those words. Also, just step that someone who's just joined us now, our MMC Yunus Medina, you can make your way to the front. Thank you so much and welcome, MMC. Before we get into today's dialogue, our guests, you may all remove your masks. Thank you very much. Yes. Before we get into today's discussion, allow me to introduce our guests on the panel. I am truly privileged to be in the company of such dynamic women. The women of 1956 have gone before us, but I find peace this morning knowing that there are many more women like the women of 1956, and we are continuing to fight for the injustices that the women fought for then. We are continuing with the torch and we are carrying that flag. To my right this morning, I have MMC Yunus Medina from the Department of Health and Social Development within the city of Joburg. Welcome. I'm going to go around and just give you each one 2 minutes just to say what it is you do. I then have standing in for our chairperson of the Central Drug Authority, I have Mrs. Matonzi. Thank you so much. She's also the chairperson for programs and projects within the Central Drug Authority. I have also to my right, Ms. Myrtle Williams, and she hails from the community of Annandale. She runs an NGO called Ladies of Hope, which deals with issues faced by women. To my left, I have our case study from the community of Eldorado Park, Mrs. Estelle Williams, who's going to share more about her challenge that she has faced, and we will unpack the conversation once she has shared. And then we have our LDAC chairperson, Michelle Pillay. She's also the chairperson of the Gauteng Provincial Substance Abuse Forum. And she's the chairperson as well for programs and projects. Sure, that's a mouthful. And I am Dedeline James. I am your facilitator for this morning. I'm also the spokesperson for the Central Drug Authority. Sure, that's a lot said. Let's get right into it. We don't have much time. What prompted, just to bring our viewers and our guests into the conversation and the panelists, what prompted today's discussion, I think it was about more than a month back, and we were attending an addiction conference. And up came the statistics which indicated that I think it was 80% of men have accessed treatment centers over the past year, and only 18% of women. And I think as many of us read that concerning statistic, also in the back of our minds, knowing that we so often see women on the street, we see the women battling with substance use disorder what does that mean for us? Does it mean we don't have centers catering for women? Does it mean that women aren't accessing these treatment centers? But before we go into it, I'm just going to start on my right with the MMC just to tell us a little bit more about herself.
No, thank you very much. Am I fine? Am I audible? Okay. My name is Sbongile Eunice Mgcina. I am MMC responsible for health and social development in the city of Johannesburg. It's basically 2 departments, if you ask me. But I think I am here on behalf of social development because that's where we deal with women issues, children issues, youth issues that range from different challenges that they're faced with. We ran a whole lot of programs, which I will share later when I speak later. So basically, we are situated in the city of Joburg, which we have about 7 regions, starting from Midrand right down to Orange Farm. So it's quite a huge region, with huge challenges. But together with our communities, with our NGOs that we have in the city, the partnership that we have with NGOs, private sector as well, we're trying our best to make sure that we eradicate all these challenges that we faced, and particularly challenges that are faced by women. We really will try we'll try by all means to make sure that we work together in eradicating such challenges. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, our MMC. Over to our today standing in for our chairperson, Ms. Nandi Mayatula Kosi, is Mrs. Matonzi.
Greetings to the panel, as introduced. The NYDA CEO in absentia. Okay. Greetings to the panel. The CEO of NYDA who hosted us to their venue. I would like to introduce myself from Central Drug Authority, as said earlier by our facilitator and our spokesperson. We are based in or housed in the Department of Social Development, and we are responsible to ensure that all substance-related activities within the country are taken care of. And to be successful, it's when we have partnership with yourselves, the sector department, the municipalities, the metro, and the stakeholders, including the NYDA. And we are all aware that they are the high-risk group. Hence, we had taken it into our responsibility to say it is the first project in this Women's Month to come and have dialogue. You listen at the news, it's women who are involved in drugs, in alcohol. We are even preparing the homemade because we are unemployed. And the only way of surviving is when we do home brew and sell. And it exposes us to various abuses. So we are here to conscientize women that the CDA is behind them, and we are here to provide support. And I hope this dialogue will bear fruit. As our chairperson, Ms. Kosa, is eager to make sure that the women of this country get the necessary support in terms of substance abuse. As you have indicated, we are going to make sure women are taken care of in various areas. And lastly, I'm Japisa Matonsi, member of the CDA, and again, a chairperson of the project and programs. We're excited to be here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Matonzi. Mrs. Williams, can you give us a brief introduction of what it is you do in the community of Annandale?
Yes. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. We are much honored, Mrs. MMC, to the panel and to the program director. Thank you for the invite. My name's Myrtle Williams. I am CEO and founder of Ladies of Hope. Ladies of Hope's core business is looking after the elderly and the sick. But because we're in the community, people knock on our doors. Strangely enough, since COVID has started, GBV and substance abuse has outnumbered our sick persons. So we have no option but to get involved in GBV and substance abuse. The system is not so lekker. But I believe after this dialogue, people will hear our hearts from people that's working in the community with the real cases that will have a way forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Myrtle. I can't wait to get into today's discussion. I am now going to ask Ms. Pillay to introduce herself and to tell us more about what it is she does in the community and all over Gauteng and Joburg.
Yes, like I was introduced, thank you to the panel. I'm Cheryl Pillay, originally from Eldorado Park, but I'm representing the Gauteng Substance Abuse Forum as the chairperson of the Programs and Projects Committee. I've also been involved in substance in our community as the chairperson of the Eldorado Park Local Drug Action Committee for the past forever. I think it's 8 years or 10. I'm also the founder of Comeback Mission, which had a program called the DASA Center for Women, which specifically focused on substance use disorder for women. So that's who I am. And yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited about this program today.
Yes, I can imagine. I'm going to ask Estelle to introduce herself, and for the sake of progress and time, I'm going to ask her to get, as she introduces herself, I think in that she can tell us, why she's part of today's dialogue, and I think that will just lay the foundation for our discussion that we're going to be having today, with the topic being inequality that women facing or living with substance use disorder face when trying to access or when accessing treatment centers. So that is the topic for this morning's dialogue. Without wasting time, I know she said she's very nervous, but it's okay. You're in the company of women. Mm-hmm. So we've got you.
Yeah, I think
Yes, we've got you today. So
a bit better.
just relax.
A bit relaxed. Yeah.
Over to you, Estelle.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Estelle. The side note. I'm very professional. First of all, I'm a bit emotional, right? Okay. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a granny of a granny of 4 little ones. And yeah, Dee, thank you so much for taking time out to invite me to this dialogue. And I honestly and truly hope, I truly hope that this is gonna make a way for my daughter. My daughter turned 32 March this year. She has 4 kids. Eldest one is 8, and there's one that will be 6 in October. Then there's a 3-year-old, and then there's a very fresh one, 2 months old. So I've been trying forever to get help for my daughter, but the sad part of all of this is every time when she is willing to go into a rehab, then unfortunately she's pregnant and she gets sent home. And so kids are with me and she is out on the street. Sometimes I do know where she is, and sometimes I don't, because she doesn't have a stable place that she can call home. So unfortunately, I had to, at some point in my life, I had to put my foot down and say, you know what, this is getting way too much. Because she was living with us, she was having baby upon baby, and I have 2 other kids as well. My son is 23 and my youngest daughter is 16. So what actually made me make up my mind in saying that she needs, unfortunately, it's a very hard thing for a mom to do, and especially to put your daughter out there. But because then my son was still at school, but a teenager, and my daughter, the little one, the youngest one, they were sharing a room, and I was accommodating my eldest daughter with her kids, with her having kid upon kid. And I just had to make that decision to say, you know what, I had enough. I do have other children as well. And I'm here, I'm sitting, and I'm just giving all my time to you and your babies and not worry about my other kids. So I really and honestly truly hope, because I even asked her if ever something comes up now where you can go with your baby, because that is the thing now. The others are with me. The eldest one is in school. The second one is also going to school. The third one is actually living with one of my sisters, because she offered then to take when I told her and told, was I supposed to? When I told her that she needs to go, I told her that she's going to have to go with that one, because I couldn't do it any other way. And my sister was good enough for myself and for my daughter. And she took the third one in. So I'm not in a good space right now. And in fact, my youngest daughter is also not in a good space, because all of this has some way affected her, of which she actually said to me she thinks she needs to see a psychologist or something, because she's just not happy with things that has happened in the past. Not even now that the eldest isn't there anymore, but things that, and I asked her about it, and she said, no, she's not going to speak to me about it. She needs to speak to somebody else about it. So I think that is all I have to say for now, and we can continue and see how,
Thank you so much, Estelle, for feeling comfortable enough and safe enough to entrust us with your story. When women gather, one of 2 things: loud laughs or boxes of tissues and tears. But that is who we are, and we should never apologize for who we are. We are nurturers, and the pain stems from the fact that we have been created to nurture, to care, and to love. And one thing that came up in Estelle's story, where she mentioned her daughter's name, and it was, it's almost like I wasn't supposed to do that. And right there we can see that we are dealing with a stigma as well, where we're so afraid to come out and share. And yet the direction that we are going in terms of substance use disorder is for society to realize that this is a mental disease. Just like cancer, just like HIV, just like diabetes is a disease, it's a sickness. Substance use disorder is a disease. Let us today be the starting point of us breaking the silence which has come through. It's the first time she's spoken out about it on such a big platform. Breaking the silence and breaking the stigma. And I am pleased that today's dialogue also sort of gives life. And as I was reading through the recommendations from the Ekurhuleni conference, one of the recommendations were for collaboration between stakeholders, government. And I see that here this morning. We have from national office, we have local, we have provincial, we have our stakeholder, and we have our case study from our community. So the floor, the panelists, all represent a key stakeholder in the role of, that needs to play their part in the role of fighting, I don't even want to say fighting anymore, addressing substance use disorder. MMC, I'm going to go over to you in light of you've heard where we're at as a country, not even just as a community, as a household, where there are women in this day and age, 65 years later, still facing inequalities such as, to wrap it all up, I am sick, I am suffering, but because I am a mother, because I have children, I don't have access to treatment. Can we get your views on that?
Thank you very much, Program Director. It's sad indeed. What Estelle, sorry,
No problem.
is going through, and the fact that she's able to share with us, it is a good start. Now, let me appreciate the CDA for convening us. One would only hope for more dialogues amongst women, because we have women who choose to stay at home and be mum about their situations. I'm standing here. I want to commit as government in the local space, of course working with the province. We have a good relationship with the MEC and national government as well. I think, Darlene, we've been in one space for so long, which means that we have to do something about the situation. Yes, in the city, we do have facilities, but they're not enough. Because challenges that are faced by women, by children, and young people in our space. This is going to be the third pandemic. We're heading there. The issue of substance abuse, it's really a third pandemic after gender-based violence and coronavirus. If we don't stand up, we will find ourselves in a serious crisis as a country, as a province, as well as a city. And the city of Johannesburg, it's honestly, Mama Tonto, it's a pandemic. It's an epicenter of all these pandemics. I mean, you move from Ivory Park to Dipslot, to Orange Farm, to Eldorado Park, to Westbury, to Ennerdale, to Soweto. The challenge of substance abuse, it's really shocking. And government alone would not do it. We need partnerships. Private sector, we need NGOs, we need, the IGR must also work, because we are responsible for one community which is at this level at the local government. So we have many of you Lizelle, Estelle. We have many of Estelles out there. But we need to create a platform for our Estelles to be able to talk about these things. And one powerful thing about women, us as women, is that we are brave. We are brave. All I can say is that, Darlene, let's create platforms and solutions. I'm sitting here, I know there is a solution to the problems that we have. So I think one thing that we're missing, honestly, it's engaging our communities. I'm guilty as charged as well, because it is my responsibility to make sure that these platforms are created for women to come out and be able to say, I have this challenge. Can I be assisted? In the city of Johannesburg, like I said, we have a whole number of treatment centers. We'll be opening, I think, 2 of them soon in Orange Farm. We're planning to have another one in Region A. But the challenge has always been that our treatment centers are not able to accommodate women and their children, which is something that I've raised with our officials to say, it does not make sense at all. It does not make sense at all. As women, we multitask. You know, you go to a meeting, you bring your child with. I was just in a meeting now, virtual meeting. It's in a hybrid event. There were women in that plenary who brought their kids with. So we multitask as women. So if you would say to a woman, come but don't bring your child, it's an insult. Can I commit, Ms. D, that I'm definitely going to work on this one? I'm already working on it with officials at Social Development, the unit that is responsible for our treatment center, substance abuse as a whole, to say we need to have facilities that will also cater for our women and their children. So let me commit, Estelle, to assist you. I would really appreciate as well the Gauteng government to also play part. There are other programs that would want to partner with the province in making sure that as women are in the centers, they also get skills so that they're able to empower themselves. Because sometimes we're vulnerable as women, and men tend to turn that to their own advantage of abusing us and doing all they want with us. Yes. I know. I know, my dear. I know.
To gender-based violence.
Exactly. We can't afford.
You don't have anywhere to go. So you will tag along with me, and if I don't like what you're doing, she gets beaten. And people come and they tell me. And when you actually approach her and ask her about it, she says, no, never. Because
Yeah.
it's like I can't say yes. Because if I can admit to that now to my mom, I'm gonna get it again, and I might even get it worse.
Yeah. I just want to, for the sake of time and progress, I just want to bring in the fact that, you mentioned something so significant and you said, what, as women, we are able to multitask. When we look at those who have gone before us, and this is why we have the month of Women's Month, they went to the union buildings and they marched with, the vision that came to mind was the many women with the children on their backs. And it was women from all walks of life. No one said, what, I need a babysitter or not. They took to the task. There was a task at hand, and they went forth irrespective of whatever challenges they faced. They went, and because of them, we can have this platform here this morning. And rightfully said, MMC, Estelle, and Cheryl can share and to share more on this. I know we often have these conversations. It's like you cannot separate substance use disorder, gender-based violence. You just cannot separate the two. They go hand in hand. And the many challenges that arises from the fact that we have these women out there and not in treatment centers. You then have women abusing the SASSA grant. This then gives birth to severe neglect of children. We are seeing that our children's homes cannot cope with the influx of kids that are being neglected, finding kids unsupervised, mom leaves for 3-4 days. So the impact, the ripple effect as a result of this, what we're addressing, so-called one inequality this morning, misuse of SASSA grant, severe child neglect, GBV, HIV, because what means to the next fix do women have in these so-called lolly lounges? Men go out and they steal, women sell their bodies. They get raped. And the person that is able to tell us more and just elaborate shortly on that is Michelle Pillay, who also heads up the Hadassah Center.
Yes, thank you so much. I think, Estelle, our hearts. Yes. Thanks, Dee. Yes, one of the things that we always speak about is a lot of women will not seek help because firstly there's a stigma we're not supposed to be. And you will find that 70% is male that ask for help and not female. And by the time we reach the point where Estelle has been speaking about is it's quite late almost. And I was relating to Darylene about a little incident, and this girl is now on substance and far gone, MMC, is that when she was 16, there was a video of her going around in the schools about having sex with her boyfriend. The boy was left at school and the girl was suspended. A student, eventually she became a substance user because of the shame of the video. So already it starts there. Then we get fast forward to a point where she needs to get help automatically. The one thing girls do to feed their habits would be the guys abuse them in the lolly lounges. So it's their bodies that gets used, where boys would go out and do crime. So by the time when the girls come in to a center, the psychological damage and trauma is so deep. And it really needs a special kind of intervention to work with women on substance. So that's one. Our treatment centers at the moment, there is very few beds for women. There would be the majority for men. But they don't also zoom into the specific needs of women. It's the holistic thing. Then at the end of the day, you need to have the outlet of empowerment. So when she goes back, she's able to empower herself and her family. So in an ideal situation, would have to be the treatment, which is your 2 months normal treatment, but a 4-month period where she can also do the rebonding of her child. Because remember, the mother is responsible for the house of our children, the well-being of our children. And to do the bonding, because when she's in the street, there's hardly time to be actually bonding with her child, or those kind of things. It's the chase for the next high. So it's to sit down and undo all the negatives that has been put. So the program really needs to look at an holistic intervention for women. The fact when someone is pregnant and they can't be in treatment at a certain point because it's difficult. It already starts with being pregnant and being on substance. So we have children with a chemical imbalance by the mother being pregnant. You'd see even when moms are breastfeeding and you want to take that baby away from the mother, you're not going to get that baby away because the baby is addicted to what the mother has been using. So we're looking at learning disabilities that comes out of there. But the fact that we need to up our game with regards to treatment specifically geared at women is very, very important to break the cycle. We need them. We need spaces where women can go with their children, also to teach parenting skills in those programs, all of those kind of things. So it is important that we up our game as a country.
Yes.
On every sphere of government, it is needed as urgent as possible.
Thank you so much, Mashiril Pillay. And, your recommendations are welcome, specifically more so because of the fact that you have dealt with this, you work with this. This is your daily bread and butter, dealing with cases of this nature. And one thing that you also mentioned, you mentioned that already when the girls come in, they come from a background of having experienced trauma. So when they come into these rehab centers, we have sort of I'm not sure how to say, but the blanket approach in the center. So everyone's story, everyone gets treated. The program for everyone is almost the same. And when you say that they come into the centers already with, there was instances of rape, there was abuse, that speaks to one of the causes of substance use disorder, why people stay stuck there. And that being unable, the belief system that I am unable to deal with past guilt, hurt, and trauma. So if I'm unable, I don't have the tools and the know-how on how to deal with past guilt, hurt, and trauma, and I just want to block it out, I haven't dealt with it. Obviously, what is the one thing, depending on my drug of choice, I'm going to go back all the time because it's not just about me using. Every time I think about that person, that raped me, that abused me, I go back there. It's a coping mechanism. Yeah. So if we're not going to deal with the past guilt, hurt, and trauma, we're not going to make inroads, and hence the importance for collaborations such as this morning. What she also touched on, the importance of aftercare and skills development. And I'm so delighted to have the executive director, who is a woman, in the room this morning, listening to, she's probably picking up all these nuggets and thinking, how do we fit in as a stakeholder and forming part of the National Drug Master Plan? Let me go over to Myrtle from Ladies of Hope in terms of just share briefly with us the experience, gender-based violence, and substance abuse, the link.
I'm going to talk a bit on our challenges.
But we are back discussing the inequality women face who are living with substance use disorder. And just before we went offline, we had Myrtle from Ladies of Hope just getting into the challenges that she's facing in the community of Annandale. Thank you, Myrtle.
Okay, we were still speaking about young girls falling pregnant and the clinics or the doctors that doesn't want to sterilize. And I think that is another major, major problem that we need to maybe look at as well, because there's girls getting pregnant for the abuse of the SASA grant. There's ones that gets pregnant that doesn't even know the fathers of the child because she got pregnant in the lolly lounge. So that is another major problem that we need to look
Okay,
at.
so there's a clear indication that we need to engage the Department of Health as well. As you were speaking, Estelle was going, yes, I can relate. And I actually recall there was a time when you sent me a message asking me, Dee, is there any way that you can help me to get my daughter sterilized? And I said that would go against her human rights to force someone to get sterilized. But what you said now, even upon request, so someone's an active user, someone has 6 kids from different males, hasn't been working, abuse of SASSA grant. There's so many clear indications. And this person has reached a certain age. It's not like they have 1 child or 2 child. Estelle has faced exactly the same challenge. How do we unpack this? Cheryl, can you just briefly, for the sake of time, I'm going to just move on. What do you think? What is your opinion? What are your thoughts around that challenge?
Is that with regards to someone being pregnant and want to be sterilized?
6 kids,
6 kids.
substance use disorder, different dads, abuse of SASSA grant, severe child neglect. The person now requests and says, I'm saying that I no longer want kids. I don't want to fall pregnant because of my condition, and being told no.
I don't think they're supposed to refuse you if you are asking. Remember, you are the person that's asking. So you should be able to get that going, because there's also the human rights thing when we want to force someone. So you're not able to force the parent. It's like when we with getting someone involuntary into a program, we need to approach the court. We need to go through that process. But I'm still failing to understand, if you want to have yourself sterilized and they are refusing, we need to look into that basically. I think that would be
I hear what you're saying, but also I can also sort of resonate and understand where that health worker is coming from, because maybe she doesn't have the history. And I think it is at that point where we need to then bring in our social workers and do our psychosocial assessments, and not just say no, but do a counseling session, and then maybe after a period of time consult and then get to a decision. I don't think it should be just I'm not sure how that space operates, but I don't think it should just be a no. I think there should be sessions that set up between mom and the hospital should link you to a social worker as well, where we engage mums, on solutions. I just want to quickly go to our CDA representative here, our chairperson for programs, Mrs. Matonzi, in terms of what are your views on everything that has been said here this morning?
Thank you, Chairperson of the session. I think as CDA, you are very, very excited. The way thank you, Chairperson of the session. As CDA, we are very excited for the input that is coming from our stakeholders and the commitment by our metro municipalities. This shows that we have one view to ensure that our women get treatment and support they deserve. We have been able to unpack challenges that faces women. And now,
Despite our mic challenges, we continue the struggle.
It's still a struggle.
is it right? I said, Chairperson of the session, CDA is excited with the discussion and dialogue of this morning, especially that all our partners have been sharing challenges that they're facing. And now it is up to us to continue with this partnership and involve more stakeholders so that we're able to address challenges that has been identified. Once government is here, we'll also be able to influence policy changes that will be able to address issues that are identified on the ground. We need to support one another as women. We need to take the baton and move forward. I want to appreciate the manner in which our communication and marketing has decided to host this event today and in the presence of our youth in the NYDA, because we have a challenge that is facing our youth girl out in the community. So we are to work together and come up with a program to address. And I'm happy that the province is talking about piloting some of the models that will assist in terms of registration, in terms of facilities that are to accommodate women. Let us continue working together. And I hope you are going to prepare with our deputy chairperson, to roll it out to other provinces, because it's just a tip of an iceberg. Because we are looking at Gauteng, what is happening outside this province. So let us continue working together and allow our women to share with us their frustration. That will address challenges. We'll be able to come up with a plan that will be able to address challenges. We should not sit in offices and come up with policies, because in the implementation, they are not effective. So this is how we should move forward, and I appreciate that you have taken this baton.
Thank you so
Head
much.
on.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. It also gives me great pleasure and excitement knowing that, I mean, this dialogue, it's the first of its kind. It's the first of its kind to break the stigma, and it's never been realized, it's never been talked about before. So salute to the women, the panelists, everyone who prepared and brought this program together. I remember one of the members stating, when the deputy chair said to me, Dedeline, we need to look at being inclusive, because the Central Drug Authority includes members as representation across all provinces. And I think we then agreed that let's do it province by province. That way, when we're in one province, we then link all stakeholders with the relevant people in the room already there. It's not someone from Gauteng, someone from Northwest, someone from West. Let us have all stakeholders in one space from a particular province so that there's an outcome. And already one of the outcomes in terms of the medium-term goals, I can, which if my memory serves me, is reduced levels of poverty that we are tackling here this morning. So we are in line. Collaboration with different stakeholders, Ekurhuleni recommendation. You know, everything, the topic and the dialogue this morning, it speaks to the policy, the Substance Abuse Act. So we are relevant to everything that is on paper. And what you see happening here today is implementation. And the first step towards realizing something actually materializing is having a conversation. And I'm really delighted and I'm excited, because I too see the devastation caused, and especially with, I remember not so long ago, I actually posted on my social media, where are the matronisas? Is that what you call that? Matronisa. For the abuse of the SASSA grant, the SASSA card. And yeah, government is rolling out the grants, but that's a topic for another day. And where's the mother, you know, the SASSA grant? So we can't empower her with the skill for as long as she's suffering with the substance use disorder. We have a mammoth task, but we have strong, willing ladies. Estelle, you've been doing a lot of thinking. I've been watching you. How are you feeling at this point? we've spoken a lot, probably as not as much. We can sit here and talk because we love talking. As women, we love chatting. How are you feeling right now? Having heard everything, the commitment from MMC.
I'm actually delighted. I cannot wait for this thing to pick up and have, even if it's not for my daughter, because I know it's not something easy. It's not going to happen overnight. So even if it's not for my daughter, but for so many other youngsters out there who is so much younger than what she is, who are on substance abuse. She's been on substance for over 14 years. So I have been battling for so many years. But like I'm saying, even if it's not going to help her, of which I doubt it won't, but even if, the youngsters that's out there whose parents are also battling with this devil, this drug thing that has came and infested our communities, our families. We're broken. People are broken out there. They really are. And I honestly and truly hope that this will really help in the very, very
Just bring
near
some
future.
form of
In the very near future.
of relief.
Yes.
Estelle, if you don't mind me asking, what were some of the avenues of relief that you know, the people that you approached in the community, the stakeholders, where you just hit a wall, a barrier?
It's
churches. Did you try the churches in the
Yes.
community?
Churches, yes. And you know what? I've tried a couple of years ago, but I haven't been trying lately again because I'm broken. I'm like, this is not a young girl anymore. She's a woman. She's 32. And I just said, you know what? I'm tired. So if ever you're ready, then you come and you speak to me. And we'll carry on this baton again, and we will go, and we will see where we can go to. But yeah, now I'm excited. Now I can do this with her. I feel I'm motivated. I feel motivated. So yeah, I'm sure this is definitely going to help. That's definitely going to help her and so many others. Yeah.
Over to Cheryl Pillay, in terms of, I think, while we were on the break and they were trying to get us back connected, we spoke about we highlighted quite a few significant strides in terms of solutions. Yourself and MMC here were sharing ideas on how we can move forward in terms of how the space would look like if we were to create safe spaces for women and their children. Can you just briefly take us through a pilot almost on what the space would look like? Because we spoke about Myrtle said, the first few months, I mean, depending on the substance they were using, they're irritable, moms need to sleep, they need to rest, they don't have a clue on how to connect, how to bond. I just want this child away from me, So how do we do this? Yes, we want to keep them the family unit, but how do we actually do this? We also spoke about the challenge. I mean, everyone was saying that these moms don't only have one child, they have 5 and 6. That's the number. So do we take in 7 people into a center? Is that feasible? How does it work? What would this desired outcome look like? And Cheryl came up with some ideas.
I think, yes, thank you, Dee. I'm passionate about this one. It's something that I've always thought about in my mind somewhere. It needs to happen. And we've done a pilot, a little program where we took mom and placed her into rehabilitation for 2 months, which is our normal 28 days to 2 months program. And in that first 2 months, obviously, you cannot have a baby with you because you need to deal with detoxing. It's all of those things. So we need family to support or safe houses, temporary places of safety within our communities. And Eldorado Park was quite actually one of those that after the president was in Eldorado Park, we managed to set up a temporary place of safety for children. So the example would be that for the first 2 months, the mother would go into rehab and the child would either be with family or in a temporary place of safety. So Department of Social Development, Child Welfare, all those stakeholders needs to be involved. Beyond that, you could then create an aftercare program where you would have the mother, but with the toddlers only. Preschool, ECD, where you have a program operational at the center where the kids could be at preschool, but you're now teaching parenting programs to the mother. You are teaching skills to the mother. You are empowering and getting an holistic intervention. But the time when she goes out, there needs to be a reintegration program. And a lot of our funds as government is ending at rehab and not beyond. So we spend a lot of money on that 28 days and the 2 months, but there's nothing beyond. So the plan, we need to look at a perfect kind of scenario on a pilot project. And I'm going to talk to MMC and we're going to pull off one of those pilot projects because we have done it with individual people. And it kind of works if we're going to look at a long-term intervention. Because I'm sure you'd want to take the baby for 2 months if you knew that in the 3rd month, mom is going to be there. We're going to start teaching a parenting program. We're going to teach a skill. There's going to be supervision, but also the reintegration of a social worker coming past and ensuring that the processes is followed. And the example I gave was one of the moms that got onto the EPWP program at the school when she came out. So she's sustainable. 2 years down the line, I can take you to and a process is still continuing. So it is possible if we're going to do it. We obviously have to get all stakeholders involved, our faith base, our Department of Education, which the National Drug Master Plan speaks about when we do an integrated approach. So those are a little programs that we can look at and see how we can roll out. There's never one size fits all. We need to look at the issues of the various communities and how do we come into that. And it starts at grassroots level. I want to say, government can't do it all. It's grassroots level that needs to partner with government, and it's the bottom-up approach that works.
Just to pick up on what Cheryl has just said, it starts on grassroots level. Also during the break, Myrtle, you shared, the red tape and the challenges, with getting registered and all of that. And we spoke on and said that also, MMC also agreed and said we could possibly look at rolling out the road shows because it starts at grassroots level. So we need to get our houses in order in terms of compliance.
Yes.
How does that sit with you? Would that help if you would have organizations, government officials coming in, as well as on how to be compliant as an NGO so that you can participate towards this outcome?
Yes, to get this thing right, everybody needs to be involved. Okay. So if I have to get myself compliant to what you say I should get myself compliant to, I would do that. Okay. And I'm sure each and every other rehab within our area, if we can come together with government and they teach us how, we tell them what our problem is, they teach us how to get to a place where we are registered to whatever the compliance states, I don't have a problem with that. Not at all.
I want to respond to that, and as the Gauteng Substance Abuse Forum, I think part of our program rollout for the rest of the year is to ensure that we work alongside the metro as well as NGOs to ensure that treatment centers are registered, because there's a difference between registered as a NPO and registered as a treatment program. So those are one of the programs as a province that we are planning on our awareness and
Thank you
education.
so much, Ms. Cheryl Pillay. I just want to go back to our chairperson, Ms. Matonzi. You seem to be taking a lot of notes, which tells me that there's definitely going to be an outcome here. Something's going to happen. what is the one thing that you are taking back to the rest of the board and your committee on the programs and projects team?
Thank you, program facilitator. The first thing that I will take to the board is the effectiveness of the dialogue. The second one is the support that we received from our stakeholders, that they are ready to work with us as a board. And the third thing is the rollout of the dialogue, so that we're able to identify different challenges from various environments. When you look at Northern Cape, it might be different. From Gauteng. So for us to plan further, it's when we get all provinces participating, so that when we consolidate, then we have an approach that will be a generic that will be addressing all challenges. The willingness I've noted by the Gauteng department, the provincial chairperson and the MMC, that they are here to help us. And you remember that MMC, all drugs, this is the epicenter. They reach our rural areas and other provinces from Gauteng. So all models should be piloted in Gauteng, so that when we roll over, then we have lesson learned. And remember, this influx, this is an economic hub. Yes. So everybody with business or whatever will arrive in Gauteng, yes, so that their businesses grow faster. Yes. And you have a lot of universities. Our youth coming from rural comes to Gauteng and learn the lifestyle and change. And when they go back to their rural provinces, yes, then they teach them what is done in Gauteng. And the other thing is that the chairperson should be given a report that the approach she came about, it's very effective. She should continue involving all stakeholders. I wish she was here today. She will be so excited, because she's one person who wants to see women being given the service they deserve. And let us communicate with social development. Fortunately, they are our secretariat. So all the registration challenges, chairperson will be able to meet with the relevant directorate, and I request that they assist NPOs and NGOs for their registration, and also to give support to women who are in need. Mm-hmm. And they can also communicate with Department of Health if there is a need, instead of refusing. You know, we are very, very unfortunate. You go to the police station with GBV, you are turned back. You go to hospital, you want sterilization, they turn you back. You know, all these services are not 100% given to women. So I think it is time to stand up and fight for women, that we get better services. So we really appreciate, and we're going to move on with, yeah.
Yes, so I'm visualizing, and I'm thinking beyond today, beyond this discussion, you know, with the willingness in the room and the eagerness that comes from all these stakeholders, that this dialogue won't just end here today. Also, if we look at, like you said, Gauteng always wants to be the trendsetters. Always. I mean, we want it all. The shocking announcement that came 2 days ago from the MEC of Education, 23,000 schoolgirls pregnant in Gauteng. I cannot help but wonder how many of those girls are already engaging with substances. I cannot help but wonder, after the MEC's announcement with 23,000 learners between the ages of 10, and somehow myself and Deputy were having a conversation, and we said, you know what, we've noticed a trend that during the month of where we commemorate Women's Month, we always have platforms and we only engage with the older women. I'm not sure if you've picked up the same thing. We forget about the girl child. We don't have dialogue. We're always discussing, women's role in the boardroom, the inequalities, all of that. And we have missed the girl child, to celebrate her too, or to highlight the challenges that they face. We see the challenges with the girl child, and it starts at the age of 10. And now she's 36 with 6 children, or 25 with 6 children. But had we created a platform at that younger age, maybe it wouldn't have gone this far. Maybe it wouldn't have been as difficult, because at the younger age, being a minor, as a parent, you still have the say where you can say, you need to be institutionalized, you need to. But when it's 18 and above, it's difficult. You cannot enforce treatment. So the younger we introduce programs and dialogues like the one we're having today, the more effective. So I would say it's never too late. There are still going to be women that comes after, the women sitting here that's going to follow through and come up with programs. But whatever we do, we need to, in light of the announcement that was made, we need to partner and get the Department of Education on board. And we need to give support to the child that is 14 because her mom is on substance. And where do we find that child? In the Department of Education. So how do we support that learner? Because I will then do what I see. This is such a mammoth task, and when one thinks about it out of the box, you need NYDA for the skills. It's a critical partner. And as civil society, when we think drugs, we think social development and SAPS. It ends there. And it doesn't end there. This is why we haven't seen an impact. And I'm so thrilled about the fact that the Central Drug Authority has gone on a road show where we have reminded our stakeholders and our partners of the role that they play towards a drug-free South Africa, realizing the vision. Within the city, everyone, I'm sure when it goes MMC, drugs, and everyone looks at you, what are you doing, MMC? When that is not the case, where it is economic development, what is their national drug master plan? When it is Department of Health, when it is community development, it is safer spaces in our parks, utilizing our recreation centers in our communities to host these dialogues. When it is Department of Roads and Transport, they too play a part, because that is where we share messaging. When our mums are transporting, sitting in the taxi, that's when they see the message of hope in the bus, in the taxi. Road, the rails, the trains. There's an opportunity to remedy the current situation in all spaces we find ourselves. The borders. There's a space there. The NPA that is failing us. And I thought when we started this topic, I was thinking, a mom is not able to go into rehab with her child, but a mom is able to go to prison with her child.
With a toddler and pregnant.
And pregnant. Punishment. When you are punished, we accommodate your child and the fact that you are pregnant. We make space. But when you reach out for help, there are challenges. We cannot leave this topic. Yeah, this is more than just a topic. I don't think the change came about when the women of 1956 marched on one day and that's where they left it. No. I think a lot of meetings, a lot of engagements, even before our democracy as a country, happened before we reached the goal of being a democratic South Africa. It didn't just happen because people spoke. There were people who were passionate about the democracy that we have today. And it cannot be that we still have women sleeping and begging on the street corners because they don't have access to dignity. And I call it dignity, basic dignity. Just to wrap up, I'm not sure how we are doing with time. I'm going to ask each warrior lady this morning to give us less than 1 minute. Can we go with 1 minute, our program? 1 minute in terms of a solution, a message of hope to someone out there. Over to you, Myrtle Williams.
First. I am very, very excited I know Cheryl, but I never knew what Cheryl done or what she's doing. And now I know I need to tap into her to get to where we're supposed to be helping people 100%. There's so many of Estelles that we need to reach out to. So many of Estelles that's sitting behind a closed door, that's too shy to come out, to call out for help. So many of them can be helped if we get the system right. Mrs. MMC, I hope you're going to remember my face so that if I say Mrs. MMC this again, we'll be able to collaborate. Thanks to the Central Drug Authority, I am ever so thankful. The people at the office know that I'm beyond frustrated because we want to help. And our girls are really dying out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Myrtle. I hope today brought a little bit of a sense of peace at least. Over to our CDA chairperson of our programs and projects, Mrs. Matonzi. It's still not working. Can we maybe just swap mics, or can we just and while we're just sorting out this technical problem over here, can we move over to Cheryl Pillay? 1 minute, message of inspiration.
One more.
Challenge. What is on your heart?
You know, for me, I'm excited about this. Everything like this always excites me. But the one thing I don't like is talk shows. I like action. You know, it starts with a little thought normally, but it needs to end in action. So for me today was excellent, and you can hold me accountable. If I say we're going to do a roadshow, whether I come with the province or I come with Metro, we are going to do that awareness and capacitating workshop. And I'm on the ground. It's my passion. So what we do is to empower. So thank you, Dee. Thank you, CDA. I think it's one of its kind. I've been around on the substance field forever. I know I've used every substance that's available on the market in the past 12 years. I know it. But the fact of the matter is, for me, it needs to be about action. And I like the province and the Metro working together now, that we're rolling out and looking forward to the new chapter, so that the moms like Estelle and them, even if it's just being able to pick up the phone, to speak to someone, to know that they care and that there's hope, that's where it starts. And so thank you very much for this.
Thank you so much, Cheryl Pillay. Estelle, your silence, breaking the silence and the fear, and you were so nervous, and you were crying this morning, and you weren't sure, do you expose your daughter, do you expose your personal life to the world? You know, after having shared this morning and having heard the input given by all your fellow sisters this morning, how are you feeling? What is your message?
I am so grateful. Thank you, Dee, for inviting me to this dialogue once again. And thank you for everybody. And I'm going to hold you guys accountable. I'm definitely going to hold you guys accountable for helping our kids. I would really, really, and I'm sure every mother out there who has a problem with a girl child, will really appreciate this. Thank you so much, everyone. Much appreciated.
Back to, I'm not sure if Mrs. Matonzi's mic is sorted. Are we good to go?
Yes, Chairperson of the session.
Yeah.
Chairperson of the session. From CDA, we want to appreciate.
I know. He says it's not right. Maybe he says it's not right.
So fine. Chairperson of the session from CDA want to appreciate the support from our stakeholders that made it to this day. And one of our own who came to break her silence. It's very important for other mothers out there.
Yeah.
We have been given responsibility as CDA to try and reduce access to drugs and ensure access to treatment centers. Those are one of our mandates. And through your support, we'll be able to meet our objectives as set by our policy or our master plan. We need to heal the nation, in particular women and children. If we are not working together, we will not be able to do that. Let's continue to work together, and together we can achieve more. And want to appreciate Gauteng for hosting us as CDA and the National Youth Development Agency. I hope their strategic plan will be addressing these challenges as alluded today. We are here as CDA to support whatever endeavors you want to take forward for the sake of the future, because our youth is our future. Without youth, we will not talk of this country. So let us work together and heal the nation for better achievement.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Matonzi from the CDA. Over closing remarks from you, MMC Eunice. How are you? I can see you in deep thought. I can see you thinking the whole time. Where to? Oh, you're thinking the load. I can see it on your face that you are. I can see it on your face
Always.
that you really internalized what was said here this morning. How are you? What are your thoughts?
Thank you, Ms. D. Let me appreciate you guys for involving us in this engagement. Appreciate our sister here, Estelle, for sharing her story with us. I'm quite emotional, actually. I'm trying not to show it, but I am deeply hurt, I must say. Always there. You are always available for our communities. I know and acknowledge the work that you're doing. Ladies of Hope, I think I once visited you in Elders.
Annadale.
I mean Annadale. And I was with the mayor, I think, when we came. Yes, but there were other ladies and you were not there. I remember there was also a member of parliament who was there as well on that day. We'll see how we work together, assisting you, of course, working together with the province. I think you'll all agree with me, ladies, that women are not liberated at all. And it's upon all of us here, and those who are not part of us, to make it a point that we liberate our women. Because a liberated woman, you all know what will happen. What will happen when a woman is liberated? It means families, the communities, and everyone will be liberated. So it is our task I want to again commit to say alone as government would not achieve, but we need partners. We need CDA, we need, we just launched, I think in the past year, we launched, is it this year? Where are we? This year with the former mayor, may his soul rest in peace. We launched the local drug abuse, action committee in the city, and which incorporates all the departments that you've just mentioned, for obvious reasons that we need everyone to play part, because we believe that all of us have a role to play in addressing this scourge of substance abuse. So we have launched that structure, and I was whispering to you earlier on that we need to make sure that the structure becomes effective in responding to the scourge of substance abuse in our city, in our province. And I still maintain Gauteng province, Johannesburg, we are trendsetters. Everyone learns from Johannesburg. When Johannesburg sneezes, everyone catches the flu. So we really have to represent, and we are committing to representing everyone in our communities. We have a lot to do in the department, I must say. But we need people who will always keep us on our toes. Derlin, I know you always call me, send me messages. Please keep on doing that. It helps. And I'm going to push other guys in my department now who are also implementers, because we are decision makers. We'll make decisions as politicians, but they have to implement our decisions. So if you don't push them, as well as politicians, we would not achieve what we want to achieve. So it's been great. I'm happy to be here, and I'm definitely looking forward to working with everyone in fighting the scourge. I'm committing once more. And thank you to our audience, to NYDA, an institution that I love so much. And there are other programs that we would want to run with NYDA, because there's a unit in my department that works with youth. So I know at some point there was a program that we almost embarked on with NYDA. We still have to resuscitate it because it's on hold now. We need to proceed with that particular program. But ladies, beautiful ladies, thank you very much. It's been an honor to be here. Dee, thank you so, so much. I love the passion you have for our communities, and it was not a mistake for national government to appoint you and the entire team, the chairperson, Umam Nandima Yatula Koza, as well. Pass our regards to her. We love her. She's one of us. She's from Johannesburg.
Yes.
We love her so much, and looking forward to working with all of you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, MMC, for those heartfelt words. Ladies and gentlemen, our viewers, our panelists, the organizers, the marketing committee, our deputy chairperson, Nomtseba, Ntiki, and everyone, thank you so much for allowing us and giving us the platform to host this morning's dialogue, the first of its kind. You strike a woman, you strike a rock. We need to internalize that statement, because when we get together, big things happen. I'm proud to be part of the Central Drug Authority. Thank you so much to the team who assisted us this morning with the live streaming. Apologies to our viewers for the break in streaming. But we hope to be back with more such dialogues. Stay tuned to our social media pages, Central Drug Authority. over and beyond, we always say that, you know what, you don't have to be at an event to raise awareness. You can be at home at night, and your role, the audience, is to leave this room and go to your Facebook and your Twitter and to share what you have learned here and to inform your families and to share on the different groups. That is you playing your role and being an active citizen towards restoring the dignity and towards liberating the women of this country. Thank you so much to our guests for coming out. You are appreciated. Until next time, thank you very much. Thank you. Happy